First, my name is Nimrod Gugi from PC Umoja Parish, and I'm with the proposer side.
My name is JC Kinodia, and I'm from ACK, St. Elizabeth Parish, and I'm from the proposing side.
Hi everyone, my name is Maya Wanjiru and I'm from ACK Good Shepherd Langata in the proposing side. My name is Rose Wakuru Muiga from PCA Committee Parish and I'm from the opposing side.
My name is Katerina Lea from ACK Good Shepherd Langata and I am on the opposing side.
Thank you very much. Now we know the teams, we know the strong panel that is here. And we want to start by introducing our first proposer, who's going to convince us. Proposer number one, is this pandemic a blessing in terms of education, or it is a curse?
My name is Maya Wanjiru and I'm proposing the motion that goes by COVID-19 is a blessing in terms of education. So first of all, since the coronavirus pandemic came, it has changed how millions around the globe are educated. For the past few weeks, in a matter of weeks, coronavirus has changed how students are educated around the world. Those changes gives us a glimpse of how education could change for the better in the long term. So these changes are like, some people now are doing online learning with like Zoom classes, or Skype meetings, or even WhatsApp group chats, whereby your teacher is there virtually, but you're not with them. You're with your teacher virtually, not physically. And on to my next point. At home, now sibling rivalry has reduced. Since everyone now is not at school, when you're at home, your siblings, they used to fight, but now, since they've get to understand each other better, now they're not rivals anymore. You're communicating with them and you understand. I can give an example for me and my younger sisters. They didn't get along very well. But now they're at home and they get to understand each other better. They know what you don't like and what you like, and know when you're comfortable, and now you get to understand each other better. My next point is creativity. At school, you used to do creative arts, but you didn't do enough of it. But now at home, you get a lot of time to discover new things, and you now know what you can do. Like now, some of us, we made a COVID-19 journal. We go for papers every morning, and you now read the headlines. First thing you see, coronavirus. So you now understand what it's about, and you get interested. You learn a lot of new things, like your health and your everything. And now we made a journal whereby you can understand even better. You know when the school's closed, you know when you're now going back to school, and you know about your health. And then on to my next point, the parents are more interested in children's work. When you're at school, your parents did not care. They only had to check if you did your homework, and what they did, they just check if you wrote all the answers. But now, because they knew like the teachers, it's their job, it's the teacher's job. But now at home, they now have to know what you do seriously. They have to check your work, and now they get interested to know how your child is performing at school. They did not care. They only knew it was the teacher's job. But now they know what the teachers have to go through. So they now get interested and know you are good at math. So they start tutoring you, or they start teaching you. Yeah. I hand the floor back to the speaker.
Thank you very much, our proposer. Now we know that COVID-19 is actually doing something great for children at home. But I don't know whether it is still a blessing or a curse. So let's hear from our first opposer, if you agree with the sentiments of the proposer.
My name is Katerina Lea, and I am opposing the motion that COVID-19 is not a blessing in terms of education. Right now, when children are at home with their parents, maybe they feel rather unsafe because their parents always tell them sharp words, always discourage them. Some parents even tell their children, ningeja ninazaki kitu kama wewe, ningekunywangia uko kwa tumbo, which makes their children feel rather unsafe, feel like they were not supposed to be in this world, which they end up of thinking to commit suicide, and it's not good. My second point is that right now many children have been exposed to internet, and some parents don't care what their children are seeing and doing in internet. So you find that your child is looking at something which he or she is not supposed to look because it's not of their age. And when they look at like that, they want to copy that lifestyle, and maybe some see thieves and things like that. My third point is that students prefer to spend their most times with their teachers and friends because I told you that some parents tell them sharp words. Maybe their teacher encourage them, their friends tell them how important they are in their lives. My last point is that some children don't have access to internet. So you find when you go back to school, they find that they are the only ones who are left behind and start asking them questions, or even some blame their parents. And also you may have access to internet, but maybe when you are in the middle of your learning, maybe the lights and power go out, so you find that you'll have to miss that lesson. But if you were at school, you would have not missed it. I'm now handing over the floor back to the speaker.
Thank you very much, our first opposer. You have really given us some insights that we didn't know about. So we want to hear more from our proposers, if we agree. And this time, we want to hear, is this COVID-19 a blessing when it comes to issues of health?
My name is Jesse, and I'm from the proposing side. And our motion today is COVID-19 is a blessing in terms of health. My first point is that this time it has brought social workers back together and helped the nurse and doctors on contract tracing. At the past, the doctors did not know how to trace the contract of a person if he or she has a disease. But at now, the social workers are coming together and joining up with the doctors and the nurses to help them to trace the people who have this disease, and after this pandemic, they will continue being together so that they can work together and help the people of this nation, so that the people the doctors won't have too much work to work on, but the social workers will help them. My second point is that the KEMRI research centers respond to the challenges of emerging and re-emerging diseases, including the NCDs, which is the non-communicable diseases, communicable conditions, and the bioterrorism. This means that now when the government is thinking about how to stop the COVID-19, the KEMRI now is coming up and helping the government to the challenges and responding to the challenges. The people who had like asthma, who had like cancer, they are now standing back to see how they can help the person who had these diseases. And if the person have COVID-19 and have the other disease like cancer, the KEMRI will come and try to help the person who had the cancer, and the government will try to help the person, the same person who has COVID-19, so they'll work together and help the person. My third point is that the help of KEMRI to establish partnership and collaborations with both the national and county government. That means that the county, not only the national government will be helped, but the county government will be helped by KEMRI by bringing beds and the equipment that they need to help the people who have other diseases and this COVID-19. My fifth point is that bringing employment. Example that a person who had retired from ambulances and is now being called to come and help the people to help the government to help them so that they can go and get the person who had this disease and the other ones who don't have this disease so that they can get help. Not only the COVID-19, they are the people who have this disease, but many other people who are others like asthma and cancer. They come and they they dial a number, then the ambulance come. My sixth opinion is that invitation for stakeholders memorandum on regulating food safety in Kenya. For example, advertisement for food safety inputs, draft national food safety, food, drugs and chemical substances, which acts as chapter 254 on the subsidiary legislation. This means that the stakeholders who are not on the partnership with the government, they are now being invited so that they can come and they help the people and they show the people how to handle their food when they get it from the market, how they should handle it and how they should wash it. My seventh point is that transforming health system for universal care social assessment report. The project Transforming Health System for Universal Care. What do you mean by this? This project is a World Bank supported project that had the management team at the Ministry of Health, which headquarters is Afya House, and the Council of Governors. This project jointly with the bank through a consultant of minority groups in Kenya. This means that the other people, this project is now coming to help not only Kenya, but the other countries which are affected by this disease. And it's helping them to come together and make one union so that they can help us, so that they can help each other to finish this disease. My eighth point is that banks or corporations are helping the poor and the needy. At the past, not many corporations help the needy, but now, example is Safaricom. Another example is Equity Bank. Is now bringing food to the needy, to the poor, the people who don't have places to stay, the people who don't have masks, sanitizers. They are coming now to help them and giving them what they need. What they need shelter, they're coming them to give them. And my last point is that people are not more cleaner than before. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our team of proposers. And I can see that our opposers are almost crossing over, even without you inviting them. I don't know if that is true or not. Maybe we're going to hear from our second opposer. If, we don't know whether you're crossing over. Kindly, let's hear from you. Convince us.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rose, and I oppose the mission that COVID-19 is a blessing in terms of health. My first point, widespread disruptions of services. So this COVID-19, because there are so many people in the hospitals, screenings like cancer screenings and appointments have been cancelled. Also, some hospitals have closed their satellite clinics, reassigning the staff that used to work in those hospitals to the main hospital to help in providing care to the COVID-19 patients. And these hospitals, these clinics, some of them are located in the rural areas and remote places. But since they closed, people are unable to access the main hospital, which is distant from where they live. My second point, misdiagnosis of diseases. So everyone is well aware of the symptoms of COVID-19, but that doesn't mean you have to assume that anyone experiencing any of those symptoms is COVID-19 positive. For example, you go to the hospital, you have a fever. They'll just say, some hospitals say you have the virus and then they admit you, instead of testing you first and confirming what they think is true. And it is later that they care to test you and they find you negative, but you had another illness like malaria, which showcased this similar symptoms to COVID-19. Yes, they will treat that other illness, but you still have to pay for being admitted in hospital and the attention that they give to you. And some people don't have the money to pay for that, so it causes even unnecessary bills which are not planned for. My third point, loss of health insurance. People have lost their health insurance after losing their jobs because they are unable to pay for the premium. Some private insurers have stated that COVID-19 is a pandemic and they will not cater for for their beneficiaries. Also, according to a recent article published by the NHIF, they stated that they will only pay for the beneficiaries who are attended to in hospitals that were reassigned by the Ministry of Health. And let's say if a person, there was an emergency and the closest hospital available was not reassigned by the Ministry of Health, that person is forced to dig into their pocket to offset the hospital bills. My fourth point, negative physical and psychological impact towards healthcare workers. Healthcare workers are most prone to contracting this virus because they're the people who are in contact with the infected people. They also work within stressful conditions, and they experience anxiety and fear of giving the virus to their family and friends. Their duties in hospital also conflicts with their duties to their family and relatives, and they experience stress, which is not good for their health also. And they have a lot of anxiety of having to self-isolate themselves or quarantine themselves in case, and they won't know whether they contracted the disease or gave it to their family without knowing. And my last point, decrease in access to primary health care. Primary health care ensures that everyone gets the comprehensive health care that they need and require. But since the rise of COVID-19, this has not been the case. Some people, after doctors cancelling those appointments or screening being cancelled, some children have even missed their vaccines, which is very vital to their health because they are more prone to contracting other diseases because their immunity is not that strong, and these vaccines are what build up their immunity. And parents will not have, they will either decide to go to other hospital, won't decide to go to the main hospital, which is distant from their place because they don't want their child, who is more proner than them to contract the disease, to get it. And I hand over the floor to this.
Wow. Thank you very, very much for convincing us. I think now you're helping us to look at this pandemic like in both ways, which is also very good. Now, we are going on a short break, and please don't leave. Stay there, stay tuned, send your questions. We want to hear, and you can also confirm from home. So thank you very much. Don't touch that dial. I need to put this on. It's on. It's live. I also want to put it on live. How do I watch live? Share on my page.
Welcome viewers. We had a very wonderful first session. It was a really informative moment, and we will start on our second session, which will tackle two of the remaining most important topics that we'll discuss. And I will call upon the third proposer who will be talking about economy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and good morning, viewers, as you watch from home. Although the economy has been beaten down very seriously this pandemic, people have now started taking self-responsibility, and government have now done everything in their hand to make sure that people do not lose jobs and do not go hungry in their homes. So first and foremost is emergence of job opportunities. We all know about Kazi Mtaani. Kazi Mtaani has been rolled out by His Excellency Uhuru Muigai wa Kenyatta, who has done a very good job in the slums, who has helped people to find at least something to eat at the end of the day. As you have seen, mostly you have seen many roads have been built, many water tanks have come up after this Kazi Mtaani, which has been rolled out. Okay, my next point is makeshift markets. Makeshift markets, what am I saying? These are markets which are mobile markets, which are not physically put in a place, like in bypasses, in highways, in roads. You have seen a lot of cars in the sideways, selling cabbages, selling vegetables and fruits. And you have seen that now most of the markets have now become cleaner. And these makeshift markets are more cleaner because one, the seller won't throw away the waste anyhowly, but he will now conserve the waste and give it to the farmer in the near community. Which brings me to my third point, which is promotion of farmers' commodities. You have seen the makeshift markets have helped farmers with organic fertilizers to grow their fruits, grow their vegetables, which helps farmers to sell their commodities through brokers. We have seen, even during the lockdown in Nairobi, we have seen only the food was being allowed to enter in the border of Nairobi. Which takes me to my fourth point, which is promotion of intercommunal trade. We have seen the farmers selling their goods to brokers, but now, due to the pandemic, they will have to search for other ways. They can sell it in a community like this one. We say Mr. So-and-so has a farm, and Mrs. So-and-so has a farm. Now we see them joining with the community and selling to each other, but not to other people who they are not sure if they have contracted the virus or not. Then I got my fifth point, online marketing. Online marketing is a very essential part. It's a very essential part which has played in this COVID-19 time. You have seen most markets have gone online. We have seen like Jumia, like Glovo have now embraced online shopping, and people have now embraced online shopping because one, they have seen that there is no other way, because we are told not to gather in a place, not to be crowded in one place, but to be social distance. But in some markets, it's hard to do something like that. We have seen Jumia has brought Jumia food, which people can buy food and groceries. And which takes me to my sixth point, which is promotion of mobile banking. Mobile banking is like Airtel Money, Equitel, M-Pesa, and Tel Money. We have seen that now people are preferring to send money through phones, but not carrying physical cash to take to a place. We have seen matatus embrace it. We have seen people in market jobs embrace it. And now, which takes me to my seventh point, which is the promotion of social networking. Social networking is like Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, and Instagram. We have seen people are now meeting virtually, but not physically. We have seen WhatsApp groups, people are now meeting virtually, people are now meeting with their friends from far, virtually. Then we go to the flights, the international flights have resumed. It was just the other day that that the CS of Transport, His Excellency Mr. Masharia, said that now trips to China, trips to Thailand and other places have resumed. We have seen that it will bring a steady rise to the economy, as the National Security Exchange said. And now I hand over the floor back to the Speaker.
Wow. Thank you so much. You've really used your time so well. And excuse me, Madam Chair, I seem like I'm leaning more on the proposing side. So I give this opportunity to the opposing side to make us think otherwise.
My name is Stanley Kimani, and I'm on the opposing side, and I'm opposing that COVID-19 is a blessing in economy. There's lack of jobs. Companies are being forced to shut down, and the ones that are not shutting down, half of the workers are being fired in order to keep social distancing. My question is, what is happening to those jobless workers? Even before the COVID-19 came in Kenya, there were so many jobless workers. How 100% sure are we sure that Kazi Mtaani will employ more people? My second point is that lack of imported goods. We know that we import many goods from foreign countries. Goods like spare parts for our cars, goods like food. We used to import onions from Tanzania to Kenya, which was more cheaper than the onions in Kenya. And now that we are not importing goods, we are being forced to buy onions from Kenya. Yes, we are encouraging our economy, but it's not encouraging very well. My third point is that theft during curfew hours. We have had cases that when curfew hours reach, when everybody is at home, there's some people who are taking these opportunities to go and rob other people's shops and stores. This is discouraging the people who are thinking of starting their own businesses, because it's thinking that what will happen if I start my own business today, then next week it will be robbed, and I will start to look for another job to pay the loan that I took to start this business. My fourth point is that no tourists are coming. Foreign tourists bring us foreign money, and also there are some people who earn a living by selling things to those tourists when they visit our country. And also there are hotels who receive those tourists. But now, because they are not tourists, the people who work in those hotels are now looking for other jobs, which is not very easy in this time. And also, like the country of Tanzania, our Kenya Airways is not landing in Tanzania. So the people who are from Tanzania and they want to visit Kenya cannot come in Kenya. My fifth point is that there are no schools. Yes, the government is paying the teachers, but what about the workers who work in school? Workers like those people who bring food to the school are now being forced to look for somewhere else where they will sell the food. And before they find, the food will already be bad. My sixth point is that overprice of goods. Some people are taking advantage that they are not sanitizers, and for their benefit, they are praising the sanitizers. And the people who have no jobs will prefer looking for a job that the money, like, let's say today I get for 500. Instead of buying that sanitizer, I'll go and buy food. Then I can use water and soap instead of sanitizer, which is more good. My seventh point is that social distancing. Yes, social distancing is helping, but it is not also helping in places like the matatus. The matatus now are having a loss of money because now half of the passengers are not being allowed to enter in their matatus, and that is making them to raise the money in the costs. That's all I have to say. And I can tell you viewers and Mr. Speaker here that COVID-19 is not a blessing. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, poser number 3. Yeah, I really like how teenagers are able to articulate issues. And folks and other viewers at home, you can see how your children are able to articulate issues and bring issues on the table and discuss, right? So take this opportunity to call upon the 4th proposer who will discuss issues on security.
Thank you. I'm Jemima Angari from Bisiangong Parish, and I'm proposing that COVID-19 is a blessing in terms of security. On to my first point, which is personal security. Under personal security, right now, we were given rules to follow, and one of the rules was curfew. People are now going back home early to avoid brutality from the police officers, and also, like even at school, everyone here knows what I'm talking about. Even at school, we are always on the right so that we avoid punishments and other things that come when you are indisciplined. So right now, people are avoiding the brutality that comes from the police officers, and also not knowing that they are also avoiding the evil that comes out at night. Evil that comes out at night is in that there is mugging, there is also kidnapping and robbing. Yeah, right now there is no mugging at night because we were given a limited time to be from work to home and from home to work, which was a limited time. Still under personal security, we have, due to internet learning, children are free from being kidnapped. Children are at home right now, learning, knowing that all of us are going to repeat. People are learning so that they can catch up with the syllabus since we are not all at school. So children are at home learning, which is a nice thing and a nice secure thing, because people right now, children right now are not being kidnapped. We are not hearing any cases. Still under personal security, matatu pickpocketers are not there. This is because there's social distancing in the matatus. Long time ago, there was a lot of congestion. Even there's a time, because they could see police officers, they were telling someone to squat, which brought a lot of congestion and a lot of robbing. So it has changed. On to my second point, which is national security. Under national security, closing of the borders. This has helped a lot in a big way. Like, we don't have terror attacks these days from the Al-Shabaab and other, like they attacked our Garissa University, which killed a lot of our Kenyan future leaders. That was so bad. But right now we cannot hear cases of terror attacks from other nations in Kenya and other nations like Somalia. And yeah, that's all I have to say. And as I want to support myself, that this COVID-19 is a blessing. It has brought a lot of change, and I bet that, yes, and for those who agree with me, say aye. And for those who don't, say nay. As usual, the ayes have it.
Wow, that's a really nice way to conclude. It has brought a light moment in the stage, because I think I do not know if I do like Jeff, I use the extinguisher. Anyway, moving on, I would like to bring in the 4th proposer, who will try to counter her and maybe bring up some other more important issues.
My name is Sebalia Nyambura, and I'm here to oppose that COVID-19 is a blessing. First of all, police brutality has increased. Why? The curfew was brought to help us as a nation and as people to overcome this disease that has just entered our country. Yet the police have just have taken this advantage to offer bribes to people who cannot make the time for curfew. In the first weeks of the curfew, they were beating the people as if they were criminals if you had not made the curfew time. And other harassments along the road. If you are like Mama Mboga, you are being chased away, being told that you're not wearing a mask, you don't have sanitizers, please move away. What if that person only has that to live on? What are they supposed to do? My second point is that security in transport. Most people have resorted to carrying their own sanitizers due to the fact that they cannot trust the sanitizers in the matatus today. Because one, I don't blame them. How are you going to access alcohol-based sanitizers with the fact that they are being overpriced in the supermarkets? So people have resorted to carrying their own sanitizers and even resulting to walking to work, leading them to being late. Some even have resulted to going using taxis, which is true and it might increase the risk of you getting the COVID. But how sure are you that the person who was in that car before you did not have the virus? My next point is community attacks. Yes, the international attacks had stopped. What about the community attacks and the national attacks happening in our country? Are we supposed to neglect them and push them aside? No. Just in the news a couple of weeks ago, we saw how communities like the Maasai in Narok and West Pokot had fought over land issues and cows border, leading them to killing their own. Though most of us lived in fear due to the external attacks have been buried underground and laid to rest, we should not forget that also as a country we live under tribalism, nepotism and corruption. What are we supposed to do about them? Are we supposed to neglect them and say that just because of external attacks, the internal attacks have disappeared? On to my next point is exercising. People have taken this time to exercise in order to keep fit, as we are seeing on social media. People have resorted to jogging along the roads as a matter of fact that we were told we cannot leave the house unless it's at 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock. So people had resorted to jogging. Jogging with a mask on is not safe. As study shows the more you breathe out carbon dioxide and you're not breathing in oxygen, you're just breathing in the carbon dioxide in your mask, you're giving your lungs a lot of work for them to reciprocate that air and bring in oxygen, leading to you getting cancer, lung cancer. And by the time you go to the hospital, you start complaining about lung problems. They will tell you it is what? COVID-19, and you'll be admitted in the hospital. And by the time you pass away, and the time they discover it was not COVID, it has been too late. Cyberbullying has also increased. How? Teens are all at home, we are all doing online learning. Yes, but what about the teens at rural areas? Are we supposed to neglect them? Cyberbullying has increased, yes, in towns such as Nairobi and other big commercial towns, in that teens like me are seeing people on social media and other creators making content, and we crave that. So it resulting is to us breaking into other houses so that we can crave that lifestyle, leading to us being taken in, and some of us are even watching pornographic things that are not supposed to be watched. Now, in terms of security, we have, as my colleagues have just said, we have recently been banned from going into Tanzania, and mostly we get onions and cloves from Tanzania. What are we supposed to do about the Mama Mboga who depends on those onions and cloves to live on our lives, on these daily lives, to life living? What are we supposed to do? And even look at Rwanda, the first African country to impose lockdown. We had seen in the media that police allegedly shot 2 civilians dead, defying the measures of social distancing in the markets. How are you supposed to imply social distancing in a market that's crowded, where Mama Mboga cannot do anything about it? Are we supposed to neglect them? In South Africa, they were being shot water cannons with rubber bullets, and also used guns to scare off people just to get them in curfew. Even here in Mombasa, just the first weeks of curfew, people who are going to board the ferry to make their trip home were being harassed. I return the floor back to Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. Wow. Viewers at home, you've heard from the teens and the brigade boys and girls. Most of the points that are being raised here are really relevant, and they really make you as an individual think of either COVID-19 as a blessing or as a curse. And we've moved on swiftly, and I really thank all the viewers. And now we'll be taking a short break, and we'll be right back after the break.
The long-awaited Interdenominational Brigade Week 2020 is finally here, with a theme from John 15:16, a lamp vessel.
Because it's only 2 minutes. It's not 5. You only have 2 minutes. Because it's another 20 minutes. So if you have something that you have
We
not
are
finished,
celebrating
you can
the
add
week
on.
of
But if you
Brigade
think that there's
at the
something
backdrop
else,
of
because right now we
the
are talking
corona
about
pandemic.
COVID. If
And
there's
of
anything
course,
else
you know,
besides
some of the churches have
education,
closed and
health, economy,
some
and
places of
security
worship have
that you
opened,
want to add on,
but
then can
we
talk
still
about.
can celebrate because God loves us.
We have brought together both the boys and the girls brigade, and also making sure that all the denominations within the boys brigade Kenya are involved. That is the Anglican, the PCA, the ACC&S, the IPCA, and the MCK.
Starting 3rd to 9th August 2020, join the PCA Children Ministry for fun and interactive sessions. To be part of the Brigade Week, contact
And you know we are
your
starting again
immediate
just the way we
brigade
came.
officer.
And then for the
Don't
last
miss
two,
out.
welcome back viewers. Thank you very much for staying tuned. And now we have been convinced a lot that COVID-19 is both, I'm still in the middle because these children are so powerful. I don't know which way to go, whether to say yes, it is a blessing, or yes, it is a curse. But right now, we want to give you a chance to convince, like this is a chance, really to continue with that motion. Is it a blessing or a curse? So I want to invite our first proposer to come and give us your parting shot while you convince us.
Okay, so COVID-19 is still a blessing. I'm still on that. Because some parents, they didn't have enough time to stay with their families. Others are working from outside Kenya. Others are working from even outside Africa. But now, since this COVID-19 pandemic came, you have no choice. You still have to come back to your country and stay with your kids. Now, there's been a lot of family reunions. Families are getting back together. Let's say you only stayed with your dad or your mom for a very long time without seeing one of them. So now they came back and you feel happy. Now you understand them, and they get also to understand what you like, and they get to understand your interests. So there've been a lot of family reunions. People are now getting back together. And yeah, so what if people stay at home? What matters more, your life or you just go outside there and contract the virus? You can't learn anything when you're 6 feet under. And mark you, those are not my words, says His Excellency George Magoha.
Wow, thank you very much. Those are not her words, she said. She's quoting the CS, who said it's better to have the children at home, safe, than having so many children out there dead. Thank you very much, proposer. Can we have the second opposer? The first opposer, sorry.
Right now, when we are at home and when we are free, we should use our leisure time very well, because a very high percentage are using that leisure time for taking drugs, and some use that leisure time badly, so they end up getting early teenage pregnancy. But if you have pregnancy, that doesn't mean you have to abort that baby, because that will be killing. And when you look at the Bible and the 10 Commandments, there is a rule. God is commanding us not to murder, because it is a capital offense in the eyes of the Lord. Also, many are now losing their loved ones who some are dying because of COVID-19, or others are dying because you go to the hospital and maybe you have something like asthma, because it has like difficulty in breathing, so they think that you have COVID-19 and they neglect you, treat COVID-19 first before treating asthma, which you find that that person lose his life. And also some people don't want to follow the precautions that the government are telling us to follow, so they end up endangering the lives of other people. Also, vulnerable children are not able to get any education because of parents who lost their jobs are now looking for a way of their survival and don't have time to pay for internet so that their children can learn through e-learning. I now hand the floor back to the speaker.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for proposer number 1. You have really tried much to convince us. So proposer number 3. Proposer number 2, sorry.
I'm the proposing side, and Kazi Mtaani helps youth to work and not to be idle and take drugs. That means that when you on Kazi Mtaani, people are the youth are cleaning the garbages, are removing stagnant water, and that time they could be using drugs. But now they are being creative and they are starting to do work which can keep them busy and not be idle. Another one is social distancing. In matatus, you can't say that it has brought disaster to the matatus. For example, one of my family members is a matatu driver. He has said that it is very good for people to be alive than to be dead and not have anything to use. So we can't say that because it helps the people to be clean and to be safe from this disease. My third one is curfew. Curfew is helping us so that we cannot work too much and that we cannot come at one place at night. For example, the Ministry of Interior, it has closed down the bars so that people won't come at one place together and get this disease. That is good because the people who are at home, they are now getting more and more better than when they were in clubs. My third one is community attacks. If we try to finish the tribalism, nepotism, and corruption, we won't have community attacks. We will, at least at this time, not many people are fighting, because you know if you go and touch somebody, he or she may have this disease, and you don't want to get this disease, so you stay at home and you stay safe. The other one is exercising. If you want to exercise, the government is telling us you need to exercise your body so that your immune can get well. And I now hand over close to the speaker.
Wow, I can see the opposers are also nodding. Are you nodding that you're crossing over, or you're nodding that you agree? Okay, we're gonna hear from you. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So this COVID-19 has brought a lot of fear. We start from the patients. Patients fear death. You have corona. You hear every day some people died. In some countries are reporting even high numbers, very high numbers of people who are dying in a day. So these patients don't know when they are going to die, and people fear death. Nobody wants to die. People want to stay alive, to see their grandchildren, great-grandchildren. They just want to live. And there is fear amongst the health personnel. They don't know if they've contracted the virus or not, because they are asymptomatic patients. They don't experience any symptoms at all. So a person might die and they say you had the virus, but you didn't have any symptom. Or when you start to show these symptoms, it is too late and you're taken to intensive care unit where you end up losing your life. And is also stigmatization amongst the people who had COVID and recovered, because people don't trust you. They say you have corona, but we are not sure kama it was cured enough, or maybe the tests were faulty or something. They just don't want to be close to you, and they'll be, whenever they see you along the streets, they'll be saying, you see that person had COVID, avoid that person, don't talk to that person. So like, it brings so much depression amongst those people who had the virus. They don't feel accepted, and they don't feel as if they belong to the community. And also, my second point, there is mistrust amongst us. You don't trust your friend. You don't know whether that person has the virus. So, because you don't want to get it, you don't know when you will get it. And people, anyone can get this disease. It doesn't choose who will have it or who will not or something. Anyone, even if whatever your rank, even if you're the person at the most bottom or at the top. And as I conclude, it is clear that the motion COVID-19 is a blessing is not true, because honestly, it's too obvious. So I hand over to Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. She says it's too obvious. So let's go to know. Thank you very much. Officer, take us through.
You can get it, I can get it, everybody can get it. Anyway, those are not my words. Proposal number 3.
I'm going to pick up where I concluded. And from the economy part, we have seen that many industries have now been promoted. We have seen the masks which we are wearing right now, the PPEs which the doctors are wearing in their places of work. We've seen that even during the National Treasury reveal, we saw that the big winners were the industries, because the local industries have now been promoted to produce more and more of their local things than importing from other places. And now, as a happy man, I say, the National Security Exchange have seen a steady rise in the economy since the past 6 months. And this is a good sign that the economy will recover from its bad damage. And now, I tell you, Mr. and Mrs. Speaker and the opposing team, you can now jump on the bus. You can now go together now, yes? Because it's too obvious. You see that this COVID-19 is a blessing. It has shown people what is self-responsibility, and the government is now giving jobs to other people. And now I hand over the floor back to the Speaker.
Wow, I was almost jumping, but I remembered the other 2 more speakers. So let me welcome. Okay, anyway, as we wait for sanitization, let's welcome the third proposer.
Thank you, Speaker. All I can say is that God knows what He's doing. COVID-19 is not a blessing, but it is a lesson. What do I say when I mean that? I say that when you hear wear a mask, it means God is telling you, close your mouth and don't say that bad language. When you hear wash your hands, God is saying, wash those sins away. When you hear keep distance, God is telling you, keep distance away from those bad people. My fellow viewers, if you can see, Mr. Speaker wants to jump. I don't know. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Wow. No, not yet. Not yet. Yeah, you wash your hands, you wear your masks. Okay, anyway. I will welcome the last proposer, number 4.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Right now, since we are at home, there's a lot of self-realization and recollection. In this, a lot of people deal with hardships in peer pressure. Right now, we are away from peer pressure, so we're like, at home realizing that, wow, I used to hang out with this crew, so I should stop. Also for self-recollection. All of us have gone through pains in our lives. And so right now, I think it's an opportunity for us to calm down, relieve ourselves from that, and also to know that we are not alone in this. So my fellow opponents, I just advise you to just cross over because it's a very comfortable side for you. I hand over the motion back to the speaker.
Opposers, are you jumping? Okay, let's listen from okay, anyway, yeah, so I think both teams are really very strong. And let's hear from the fourth speaker from the opposing side.
I'm going to pick up from where I left. We are all, as Kenyans, living in fear due to many reasons: police brutality, wondering if you're going to make it out of this alive or not. First of all, let me ask you, the masks and the sanitizers have been overpriced in the supermarkets and everywhere else where you're going. Tell me, is the common mama mboga going to think about buying the sanitizers and the mask, or going to buy the fruits and sell and buy food for his or her family? What is she or he going to think about? The sanitizers and the masks, or the food he's going to give his family? They say it's better to live a healthy life than be 6 feet under. Yes, that's true. But tell me how people in populated areas like Kibera, Mathare are going to emphasize on that. Are you going to push them away from their homes, the place where they built their businesses? So in my own view, let's think as we and not as I. Stop thinking selfishly, giving priorities to the people who can access even mobile banking and e-learning. So my fellow proposers, I advise you to stop thinking as I and think as we. Thank you. I hand over the floor to the speaker.
Wow, it has been a really nice session. Yeah, you stop thinking as I, you think as we. Anyway, I've not yet jumped. According to me, viewers at home, these two sides have been really strong. And according to my points, I can give them a 50-50% chance. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'll hand over this time to my fellow speaker.
So I really want to congratulate you. You've been strong debaters. We thank you very much. You have helped us to really understand this pandemic. Some of us really didn't know. I've been looking at it as sometimes good, sometimes bad. But now with this discussion, I think we are going on a clearer path. And viewers at home, if you're there, and I can see that we are also live on Facebook, parents, if you can help your children to say and to decide and just to write down there, what do you think? Which side are you on? Which one was more convincing? We'll be very happy and we'll get to know more. So thank you very much. I want to applaud these children. They've been a wonderful team of teens and they have helped us. And with that, we want to tell you, keep on watching. The whole of this week, we'll be doing a lot of brigade activities from today to the 9th. Mark the dates. Today to the 9th is Brigade Week. So we thank you very much and we welcome you to keep watching. Keep watching. And I see there's a burning issue from one of our opponents.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. As we are getting to the end, there's something I want to say. If we treat God normally, He will treat us abnormally. Please don't treat me abnormally for what I'm going to do. Mr. Speaker, if you may.
No, I'm still taking my stand at a 50-50%.
That is what Mr. Speaker said. Thank you, viewers, for joining us.
Thank you very much. Stay blessed, and we are over and out.
Be blessed.
Long-awaited International Brigade Week 2020 is finally here. From John 1516 and Love
Just want to
Vessel.
bring. Wamejaribu.
We are celebrating the week of Brigade at the backdrop of the corona pandemic. And of course, you know, some of the churches have closed and some places of worship have opened, but we still can celebrate because God loves us.
We have brought together both the boys and the girls brigade, and also making sure that all the denominations within the Boys Brigade Kenya are involved. That is the Anglican, the PCA, the ACC&S, the IPCA, and the MCK.
Starting 3rd to 9th August 2020, join the PCA Children Ministry for fun and interactive sessions. To be part of the Brigade Week, contact your immediate Brigade officer.